My name is Gloria Arellanes. I am a Tongva Chicana elder. Um, I've lived in this home for 70 years, and we came out of for 5 years we lived in the Maravilla projects. So I have been born in California. I live in California. I will probably pass when I'm in California. Um, I want to talk about the land. Land is very important to all Native people, but in California, because we have everything in California, it's such a rich state in terms of having mountains, deserts, oceans, rivers, uh, many natural resources. We hunted elk here, I'm sorry, deer, um, and we had a lot of animals that have kind of flown away because of the development. They have no longer have the trees to nest in and to, you know, continue their way of life. But at one time, our land was so pure, and we had everything at our fingertips. Everything we needed grew off of Mother Earth. Our regalia, our food, our housing, our clothing, um, and we had the waters to fish, and we were hunter-gatherers, so we ate berries. There was a lot of rabbit all around. Um, we had falcons at one time, and those have now gone more to the south. And our eagles and hawks, yes, we still have them, but in real rural areas, they don't come in. I mean, urban areas, excuse me. They prefer more of the open lands, because I've never seen an eagle here in where I live in El Monte, but I have seen uh, fox, not fox, excuse me, uh, hawks, and so those natural resources have gone away over the years, and so has our way of life, because at one time, as our children, as colonizers came in and started with Christopher Columbus, never stepped on the land, stayed off in the ocean, but sent his soldiers into our lands, and they brought nothing but chaos and devastation. They raped our women. They gave us disease. We had no immunities for those diseases, so our people died in huge numbers. That's still documented at San Gabriel Mission. They have a mass grave there for thousands of Native people that died, were buried there. They took our children and women back to Europe for sex slaves, and their preferential age was 8 years old to take back to Europe. So that's been documented by the soldiers who kept diaries on the land in their travels here. So over the years, we had to succumb to the missionaries and the missions that were set up in California, and we were, excuse me, sorry about that. I'm so sorry about that. I've been talking too much. We had to learn to live under the Spaniard. And the way we dressed in California, if you can imagine, our air was beautiful, it was clean, it was warm, and we didn't require a lot of clothing. When the Spaniards saw us, when the missionaries saw us, we were savage to them. We were pagans, because the women dressed from the neck down to their feet. They were covered. We were not. We didn't need it. We were more logical. Our men did not have to dress in pants and shirts and jackets and all that. Uh, and that changed over time. And when our children were put into schools, they were given uniforms to wear. Their hair was cut, and they were told they could not speak their language. They could not practice the things they always did with their families, which was ceremonies, spiritual gatherings, speaking in their language. We had to learn a whole new language. And the saying was, kill the Indian, save the man. So by changing him to look like, in their image, what a man is supposed to look like, or a child, a little girl is supposed to look, they changed the way we were, period. Some people ran away. I have an uncle who in the 20s, he wrote books and talked about all the families that went up to Bakersfield, to the ranches to work with horses. He became a vaquero. And I'm told that a lot of people ran into the mountains just to get away from the missions because it was so much torture. They were beaten. If they ran away, I've heard stories, I don't know if this is true or not, but that their feet were cut off, things like that. And they would post them on poles around the mission, like to scare all the Indians. So we feel like we almost lost everything, but somehow we're like seeds, and we've been able to come back, and we have regrown ourselves, and we do have language, we have spirituality, we have our ceremonies, some we'll never have. We've even found old songs that we really didn't know what you were singing to, so we have asked that to be put to sleep, because if it's a ceremony, you don't know what you're calling into the ceremony. So those songs have been put away, and people are creating their own songs, contemporary, but that's what we do now. Some of the old songs have survived, a few of them, and we do sing those. And we even have a song fest every year, where 4 times a year, I and Rhonda Robles at one time we were setting that up every month actually, and now we do it quarterly for the seasons. And Rebecca Robles also joins. Paul Moreno is another person, a big supporter. When I want to put a song fest together, I always ask him to help me. And we just invite people to come out to Pavuna, our sacred site, where we emerged as people through Chinik Chinik. We were given the rites of ceremony, language, and so forth, dances, and we became a people. And Pavuna means a gathering place, so it was an important site. And I know I'm jumping subjects right now, but it's important to say what our creation stories were. And Chinik Chinik came and gave us all these rights of being Tongva people. That is a shared site with the Ahashiman, but I can only speak for the Tongva. And currently we have the site was so big, it happens to be the University of Cal State Long Beach has been built on top of Pavuna. And we've been able to preserve through the courts, kind of. It's really up to the administration how they want to treat us of Cal State Long Beach. But we have gone to court over this issue because they wanted to develop a mall, strip mall on the land. And we were fighting to protect this sacredness of the land. There's very few open spaces in Los Angeles, Southern California. And then being that we're kind of on the beach also, they are devastating our coastal areas. And there are agencies in the state of California that are supposed to protect it, but I don't feel they protect us. I think a lot of times they just go along with the oil fracturers people. They want to build a desalination plant very soon in Huntington Beach, that will take the ocean water, with toxins, remove the salt, put it in plastic bottles and sell it to you and me. We don't want that. We don't want plastic. We're trying to get rid of plastic. It's killing our ocean. So going back to Pavuna, we are in a struggle for it right now because the university wants to take it up. I'm not sure what they want. I mean, I know what they want, but they're doing things to show me that they have plans for Pavuna because they're dumping dirt with the premise that they're going to cap the land off, which means, they're going to put a layer of dirt because arsenic has been found out there. I've been told it's not enough to harm humans, but it's arsenic. and that was put on by the university groundkeepers to protect to get rid of invasive native plants. They're not native plants, they're invasive plants, and they wanted to remove them with Roundup. So now we have this problem with arsenic. And it's a constant battle with the university. Sometimes there's good universities, they change about every 10 years, it seems, the administrations. And some have been really helpful and cooperative in allowing us to use the lands. We've continued to use the lands regardless. And it's used for ceremonies, prayers, gatherings, meetings, song fests, just going out there, because we also have ancestor pools on the land. And that represents somebody's family, that they've lost somebody, and they set up these poles in remembrance of them. And we have one big ancestor pole that is for all people who have passed. And it's a place you go to and you feel good. You know you're at peace. We ask people not to bring their anger or their bad energies to the land, because the ancestors sense it. So it's just a good place to be. I always feel, like the ancestors are embracing me and cradling me like I'm a child, and I find that very comforting. So, that's the most important thing about our land is our sacred sites, and we have Bolsa Chica, we have Cerritos wetlands that is suffering right now. The smart people on coastal commissions and cities believe it's okay to build an oil line over a known earthquake fault. Doesn't make sense to me. There are known burials out there. Bolsa Chica, same thing, 167 plus remains have been removed and buried, but the land has been destroyed. And it was the only place in the world where cogstones were manufactured by the native people, the Tongva. And we know that we had a culture, maritime culture, and we know that we used our tiads, our canoes, to go up and down the coast. And some of these cogstones wound up in Chile. And I have read in an archaeology book that there was a colony of Chilean people living at Bolsa Chica. That site is 9,000 years old. So that goes way back. And they have found cogstones in Chile. Couldn't explain them. They don't know what they really are. I know what they are, because when you bury one person with 21 cogstones around the burial, that is a very special person. That's either a shaman or a medicine man or a chief. When a dolphin is buried and surrounded by cogstones, that speaks to our creation stories, that they are our ancient people. And there's a creation story where they guarded Tongva, our whole land, our whole world. And that included, there was a seal, Wasa, was also with this dolphin, and they said he wore a headdress of a chief. So, and the Chumash people have the Rainbow Bridge, believing that people fell off the Rainbow Bridge trying to cross over to the mainland and the islands, and if they looked down, they would fall and turn into a dolphin. So we believe they're our ancient people. And so we still, are able to teach young people our stories, and when we sit in groups, I always find that we have food and we have laughter, but we start storytelling, and storytelling is what keeps us going. That the stories that we keep perpetuating, and the children, they may sit near us and listen, because I know when I was told when I sat around mentors or elders, do not question, do not talk, let them talk. And I'm a very curious person. It was very hard, and I would get an elbow in my side if I talked. But I want to know how come, why, But before you know it, you're getting information, you're hearing these stories. And these are better than books sometimes. Academic doesn't quite capture that soul of people, the native communities. There's a whole different thing than sitting in a classroom or sitting in a circle. So it's very special. And I learned that way. People before me learned from that way. And with that, I'd like to honor two of our women elders that we recently lost, and that would be Barbara Drake and Judah Bogany. Both were educators of Native teachings